From an animal that sleeps while flying to another that sleeps holding hands floating in the water, including others like this one that fell asleep in the Arctic and woke up in Ireland, or the one that slumbers almost all day long, and many more. Here are 15 weirdest ways animals sleep. But before we get started, subscribe now before I become famous. Number 15. Frigate bird. Have you ever wondered how some birds can fly for days or even weeks without stopping? It sounds impossible, but frigate birds have figured out an ingenious way to sleep while soaring high above the oceans. These large seabirds can fly nonstop for months, catching brief power naps along the way. Frigate birds have mastered the art of sleeping on the wing. While cruising on air currents, they're able to rest one half of their brain at a time, a phenomenon called unihemispheric slow wave sleeping. One eye stays open to watch where they're going while the other eye closes as that side of the brain sleeps. Scientists fit frigate birds with small devices to measure their brain waves and found that they sleep in short 10-second bursts, mostly at night. Remarkably, frigate birds can also sometimes sleep with both hemispheres of their brain at once. During these brief episodes of bihemispheric sleep, they drift downward slightly until waking back up. While sleeping, they prefer to circle upwards on rising air currents, which provides more stability. On land, frigate birds sleep up to 12 hours per day in 1-minute chunks, but in flight, they only get about 45 minutes of sleep in total each day. Number 14. Walrus. Have you ever fallen asleep in a strange place and woken up disoriented about where you are? That happens to walruses all the time. The sleeping habits of these blubbery marine mammals are so bizarre that they've been called the world's most unusual snoozers. First of all, walruses can conk out pretty much anywhere. They've been observed sleeping while floating on the surface of frigid Arctic waters. Other times they catch some sleep lying on the ocean floor using their tusks to anchor themselves to the seabed. Most oddly, they can even doze while suspended upside down, hanging only by their tusks hooked over ice floes. While sleeping in such precarious positions, walruses somehow avoid drowning thanks to internal air pouches near their throats. These pouches act like built-in life jackets, enabling walruses to snooze in relative safety as they bob along the waves. Their ability to sleep underwater sets them apart from most mammals. Adding to their reputation as bizarre sleepers, walruses can also stay active for astounding lengths of time without any sleep at all. Reports indicate walruses can swim continuously for up to 84 hours before finally conking out. So don't feel bad next time you wake up on the couch with no idea how you got there. At least you didn't drift from the Arctic to Ireland in your sleep like the famous walrus Wally did in 2021. He fell asleep on an iceberg and woke up on the shore of a completely different country. For walruses, unusual sleep habits are just a part of their normal, wacky lives. Number 13. Sloth. With their perpetual dopey grins and tendency to hang upside down from trees, sloths certainly have some quirky traits. But nothing defines these charming creatures quite like their extraordinary sleeping habits. Believe it or not, sloths sleep up to 20 hours a day. These mammals have evolved to conserve as much energy as possible. With their sluggish metabolism and mostly leaf-based diet, sloths don't need to expend much energy to survive. So they spend most of their time dozing in the rainforest canopy, barely expending the effort to climb down once a week. While we humans toss and turn at night, sloths snooze while dangling one-handed from a branch. They can even mate and give birth while suspended upside down. Their internal organs are anchored in place to prevent them from crushing their lungs while inverted. Sloths also have thick cartilaginous plates in their necks that allow them to comfortably rest their heads. Though some sloths are strictly nocturnal and others are diurnal, they all log an impressive amount of shut-eye. In fact, species like the brown-throated three-toed sloth are active both day and night, fitting in cat naps whenever possible. Predators pose little threat to sloths since their greenish fur provides camouflage against the trees, and thanks to those wickedly sharp claws, they can defend themselves when needed. With such minimal threats, who can blame them for catching some sleep? Number 12. Whale. With bodies bigger than buses, whales are the giants of the ocean. Unlike humans, whales can't just lay down, close their eyes, and drift off. If they fall into a deep sleep like we do, their huge bodies would sink below the waves, their blowholes would fill with water, and they'd suffocate. So how do these massive marine mammals manage to get some sleep? Well, it turns out whales have adapted an extremely weird way of sleeping. They sleep with one half of their brain awake. Whales are conscious breathers, meaning they have to actively choose when to breathe through their blowholes. By keeping half their brain awake, whales can continue to swim, breathe, and remain alert as they rest. The awake half of the brain reminds the whale to take a breath when it reaches the surface. To make things even freakier, whales sleep with just one eye open. The eye connected to the awake half of the brain stays open to watch for predators and obstacles. After about 2 hours, the whale's brain switches roles, with the awake side falling asleep and the rested half waking up. Talk about a bizarre power nap. Some species, like sperm whales, can even sleep completely motionless, floating upside down beneath the waves. These deep divers can hold their breath long enough between snoozes to get away with napping underwater. Number 11. Giraffe. With their long, slender necks and knobby knees, giraffes are certainly odd-looking creatures, but what makes them truly bizarre is how they sleep. Unlike humans who snooze for 6 to 8 hours each night, giraffes get by on just minutes of shut-eye a day. In the wild, giraffes rarely sleep more than 5 minutes at a time. They often take quick cat naps standing up, with their necks remaining upright. This allows them to stay alert and quickly flee from any lurking predators. Lying down to sleep is risky business for a giraffe. Their long legs make it awkward and time-consuming to get back on their feet. Just imagine a newborn foal struggling to stand up, except on stilts. An upright sleeping giraffe can pop up and dash away in seconds. When giraffes do lie down to sleep, they first fold their front legs, then hindquarters, and finally arch their necks backwards. The head rests right on their rumps or the ground, looking like a contortionist curling into a ball. This position does make them vulnerable, so giraffes in the wild rarely sleep lying down for more than 5 minutes max. In the wild, they sleep only half an hour a day, but in captivity, giraffes can snooze longer while reclining since predators aren't a concern. But even then, they only average 1 to 2 hours of sleep per day. Number 10. Lion. Have you ever wondered why lions spend so much of their time sleeping? These mighty kings of the jungle are actually some of the laziest animals on Earth. Lions are notorious for catching outrageous amounts of sleep, snoozing up to 20 hours per day. That means they're asleep 80% of the time. What a life! Lions are crepuscular, meaning they're most active at dawn and dusk. They typically sleep throughout the heat of the day and do their hunting when it's cooler. This allows them to conserve energy for peak hunting hours. Lions have specially adapted eyes that let them see very well in low light. This gives them the edge over prey that can't see as well at night. Circle of life and all that. But where do lions sleep? They aren't picky. Any shady spot will do. You can often find whole prides of lions napping under trees or bushes. This protects them from the blazing African sun. Perhaps the weirdest thing about the way lions sleep is that they often sleep with their eyes open. They're able to enter a light sleep while still remaining partially alert. Handy for spotting approaching prey or avoiding sneak attacks. While lazing around all day may seem boring, it's actually a critical survival strategy for lions. Their feast or famine lifestyle demands bursts of intense energy while hunting, followed by long periods of rest and digestion. Lions have evolved excellent adaptations that allow them to hunt most efficiently at night and recover during the day. Number 9. Koala. Have you ever slept so much that people accused you of imitating a sloth? Well, koalas take marathon sleeping to a whole new level. These tree-dwelling marsupials are the ultimate sleep champions, snoozing up to 22 hours a day. That's right, these fuzzy Australians spend most of their lives completely conked out. So what's with all the excessive napping? Well, koalas have incredibly low energy diets, surviving solely on a meal plan of eucalyptus leaves. Eucalyptus contains lots of toxins and very limited nutrients, so koalas move as little as possible to conserve their energy. Their sluggishness helps them survive on this meager diet. To digest their poisonous feasts, koalas require lots of sleep. Their slow metabolism also demands long rest periods. Koalas even have clever adaptations like fur to shield against weather and specialized claws to grip branches while dozing. This allows them to snooze for hours on end without falling. Despite their inertia, koalas aren't defenseless sleepers. Their hearing is acute, so they can detect predators and they remain alert enough to flee if threatened. Though mostly nocturnal, koalas may wake and move if disturbed. Koalas are such die-hard devotees of sleep that they even prioritize it over finding mates and socializing. They spend only 15 minutes daily interacting with others. The rest? You guessed it, it's nap time. Number 8. Dolphin. Did you ever wonder how dolphins manage to sleep in the water without drowning? Well, it turns out these amazing marine mammals have evolved a very strange way of sleeping to survive in their aquatic environment. Dolphins sleep with only half their brain awake. That's right, dolphins can rest half their brain while the other half remains conscious. This allows them to continue swimming, breathing, and watching for predators while still getting some shut-eye. Pretty nifty trick, huh? Dolphins have voluntary respiration, meaning they consciously control when they breathe, unlike humans whose breathing is automatic. So dolphins cannot fall into a deep sleep like us, or they'd stop breathing and drown. To get around this issue, dolphins evolved unihemispheric sleep. This means one hemisphere of their brain sleeps while the other half stays awake. The awake half makes sure the dolphin breathes and watches for danger. While sleeping, dolphins close only one eye, corresponding to the sleeping hemisphere of the brain. So when the left half snoozes, the right eye shuts. Then they alternate, with the right brain napping as the left eye closes. Wild. Dolphins tend to sleep vertically in the water or while swimming slowly. Sometimes they'll log at the surface, resting motionless like a floating log. Calves even sleep while swimming next to their mothers. Mother dolphins can never fully sleep, though, as they have to keep swimming continuously for the first few weeks of a calf's life. Otherwise, the baby would sink without enough blubber to float. Number 7. Meerkat. Have you ever woken up with a stiff neck from sleeping in an odd position? Spare a thought for the meerkat, whose sleeping habits are downright weird. These endearing mongoose cousins are found across the arid regions of southern Africa. Though only around a foot long, meerkats have some giant quirks when it comes to catching some sleep. For starters, meerkats are burrow-dwelling animals that live in large groups called mobs. At night, as many as 50 meerkats will pile into a single sleeping chamber to snuggle up together in one big cozy heap. Talk about close quarters. They tuck into the burrow to stay warm in the chilly desert nights. The dominant female of the mob gets the sweet spot buried underneath her furry minions. Meerkat sentries take the risky outer edges, ready to rouse the group if danger lurks. Number 6. Parrotfish. This colorful coral reef fish has one of the weirdest bedtime routines in the animal kingdom. As the sun sets, the parrotfish finds a cozy spot on the seafloor and begins secreting mucus from its mouth and gills. Over the next 30 to 60 minutes, it slowly spins a bubbly, transparent sleeping bag, enveloping itself in a gooey film. It's like a slimy mosquito net tailored specifically for this wacky fish. Once fully encased, the parrotfish can breathe freely through this homemade cocoon. The mucus forms a protective barrier, shielding the snoozing fish from parasites and predators. Blood-sucking crustaceans called gnathids often feast on sleeping reef fish, but the parrotfish's mousy membrane blocks their bite. This mucus veil also prevents bigger fish like moray eels from smelling the parrotfish's scent. Crafting this crazy cocoon takes a lot of effort. Parrotfish have special mucus glands near their gills just for spinning these sleeping sacs. Parrotfish aren't the only fish that uses mucus while sleeping. Some wrasses and species like the blue streak cleaner wrasse also spin transparent mucus cocoons at bedtime, but parrotfish take mucus making to the extreme, tailoring complete cocoons to meet their quirky sleeping needs. Number 5. Bat. Bats are some of the oddest sleepers in the animal kingdom. While most creatures sleep lying down, bats prefer to hang upside down like vampires in a cave. This bizarre sleeping posture sets bats apart from nearly every other mammal. So what's with the topsy-turvy slumber? Bats have wings instead of arms, so they can't clutch onto branches. Their talons work the opposite of human hands. When bats relax, their tendons automatically clench their toes closed. This allows them to dangle effortlessly without using any energy. Their lightweight bodies don't get dizzy from blood rushing to their heads either. Gravity and body weight keep bats firmly in place. Take flight, bats simply let go, drop through the air for a second, and start flapping. Hanging upside down allows for quick getaways if predators approach their roosts. Bats need to conserve energy during the daytime when food is scarce. Dozing in this position requires minimal effort. Bats roost in sheltered spots like caves, trees, attics, and under bridges. Snoozing upside down helps them blend into dark crannies across the globe. Over 1,000 bat species sleep this way, from giant flying foxes to teensy hog-nosed bats. Some bats even give birth upside down. While hanging looks uncomfortable to humans, it's the ideal resting posture for bats. They've evolved amazing adaptations that allow them to slumber while suspended in midair. Number 4. Shark. Have you ever wondered if sharks sleep? These aquatic predators have some truly bizarre sleeping habits. While humans close their eyes and become almost motionless when sleeping, sharks keep moving and often sleep with their eyes wide open. Sharks are obligate ram ventilators, meaning they must keep water flowing over their gills to breathe. Some species, like great whites and tiger sharks, never stop swimming. Their tails power them forward as they sleep swim through the ocean with their mouths open. It's the only way to get oxygen. Others, like nurse sharks, pump water over their gills using their cheeks and neck muscles. This buccal pumping lets them snooze on the seafloor or in caves without suffocating. Even when sleeping, sharks are partially awake and alert to danger. Their pupils still track prey and predators swimming by. Sharks have a clever trick to rest only half their brain at a time, just like dolphins. The other half stays awake to watch for threats. Here's the really freaky part: sharks usually sleep with their eyes open. They don't have eyelids to close. While sleeping, sharks may partially close their nictitating membranes, transparent third eyelids that protect their eyes, but their eyes remain open to their surroundings. Sometimes bottom-dwelling sharks like nurse sharks and wobbegongs even sleep in big piles on the ocean floor. They get some safety in numbers while snoozing in these cuddle piles. Number 3. Horse. If you've ever peeked in on a sleeping horse, you may have thought you were gazing upon a standing corpse. But that towering stiff-legged beast is not dead, it's just catching some sleep while on its feet. This topsy-turvy technique is made possible by an ingenious stay apparatus in the horse's hind legs. A special mechanism allows the horse's kneecaps to pop out of place and lock into position, letting the muscles completely relax while the legs remain stiffly upright. Though it appears quite unnatural, this ability comes from the evolutionary history of horses as prey animals. Sleeping while standing gave horses a huge advantage, allowing them to quickly spring awake and gallop to safety if predators approached in the night. Though convenient, standing sleep doesn't provide the deep, restorative snoozing horses need. For that, they must achieve rapid eye movement sleep, which only occurs when muscles are totally relaxed in a lying position. Horses get their REM sleep in short bursts, laying down for just 15 to 20 minutes at a time before getting up again. This limited lying time prevents blood flow problems caused by their immense weight pressing on internal organs. To feel safe enough to lie down, horses prefer open areas with good visibility, and they take shifts, with some horses sleeping while others stand guard. If a noise startles the group, the upright sentinels instantly rouse the sleeper. Number 2. Ostrich. With their long necks and ability to run at high speeds, ostriches are already odd birds, but their sleeping habits take their bizarreness to a whole new level. Unlike other birds that perch or nest, ostriches plop their oversized bodies down right on the ground to sleep. Even weirder, they sleep with their eyes wide open. Ostriches have adapted the ability to sleep deeply while still looking totally awake. Their huge eyes remain active, blinking and moving as if they're not sleeping at all. But looks can be deceiving. An ostrich standing motionless with its eyes open and neck upright is often in a deep sleep state called slow wave sleep. Besides sleeping upright, ostriches also sometimes lie down to sleep. When they do this, they really conk out. In this sleep state called REM, their eyes actually close and their necks go limp. Their brain waves also speed up and resemble an awake, alert bird. So even though their bodies appear more deeply asleep in this phase, their brain activity says the opposite. To top it all off, ostrich sleep cycles rapidly flip-flop between these two states. 1 minute, their body is relaxed, but their brain looks awake, and the next, their brain slows down, but they jerk their head back up. No wonder their sleeping looks so peculiar. This bizarre backwards form of sleep may have developed to help ostriches remain vigilant for predators on the African savanna. By keeping their eyes open and bodies ready to run, they can sleep yet still watch for danger. Their strange, weird way of sleeping is just one of the many strange ostrich survival strategies. Number 1. Otter. Otters have some of the weirdest sleeping habits in the animal kingdom. These aquatic mammals spend most of their lives in the water, even when it's time to snooze. But otters have devised some clever tricks that allow them to nap while floating in the ocean or curled up in beds of kelp. One of the most endearing and hilarious otter sleep behaviors is their tendency to hold hands. Otter pairs, and sometimes even whole groups, will hold paws while napping back to back. This prevents them from drifting apart on currents while they slumber. Mother otters will also hold hands with pups to keep the little ones from floating away. Of course, the pup's tiny paws can't actually grip back. Otters are very social, so they prefer to sleep together in rafts that can contain up to 100 individuals. But sleeping in open water leaves them vulnerable to predators and ocean drift, so they've evolved the hand-holding method to stay close to their families. Males especially fear losing their mates during sleep, so holding hands provides some security. In addition to hand-holding, otters also wrap themselves up in forests of kelp when they sleep. By tangling their bodies in the long, thick kelp fronds, they anchor themselves in place. The seaweed blanket also helps conserve body heat in chilly ocean waters. These aquatic acrobats have many other interesting sleep adaptations like waterproof fur and the ability to close their ears and nostrils while snoozing underwater. But the image of otters holding hands while napping tops the list when it comes to weird and wonderful animal sleep behaviors. By the way, do you want to know what animal this is? And this one? If you want to discover the weirdest sea creatures, check out this video. 15 weirdest sea creatures ever discovered.